Welcome to this explainer. Look, if you spend any time online, you've definitely seen the endless feeds, right? The sheet masks, those intense 10-step routines, the tutorials for perfect glass skin. But if you're thinking K-beauty is just some geographical export or a passing viral trend, you're actually missing the whole picture. Today, we're going to dive right into the core of what K-beauty really is. It's an absolute fundamental rethinking of how skincare is supposed to work.
To really get this, we have to define what K-beauty actually means at its core. I promise you, it is not just a shopping list of products from Korea. It's a complete, comprehensive skincare philosophy and system. Instead of treating skincare like, a frantic quick fix to just hide a problem, it treats it like a long-term relationship. The emphasis shifts entirely from short-term correction to long-term upkeep. It's a completely different theory of care.
Let's get into the first part of this, the philosophy of upkeep. Support, don't fight. Okay, consider the stark contrast between these two mindsets. First, imagine a world in stark, sterile grays. That represents your typical reactive mindset. It's literally like waiting until a household water tank turns completely cloudy and full of disaster before you frantically try to filter it. That's correction. Now switch to a mindset of vibrant orange. This represents the K-beauty approach, treating your skin like a houseplant. Think about it. You don't yell at a houseplant to look healthy while ignoring its soil and water, right? You maintain the conditions that allow health to show up. K-beauty assumes the skin is a living surface that responds to care. So the goal isn't to overpower it, but to keep it balanced. So there are basically 4 core ideas holding this whole system together. First step is support, don't fight. Skin is cared for, not attacked, which naturally encourages sustainable routines. Second is layering. Different products just do different jobs, making your care super precise. Third, texture absolutely matters. The feel of a product literally dictates if you're going to keep using it or not. And fourth is maintenance over rescue. Prevention is valued way more than dramatic, aggressive correction. The common thread here? Reducing our cultural obsession with harsh, overnight fixes. Let's zero in on that last point for a second. Maintenance over rescue. Think of a car. You can wait until the engine completely fails and then spend an absolute fortune on massive repairs. Or you can just bring it in for regular servicing so failure is far less likely. Well, K-beauty lives firmly in that regular servicing mindset. The routine prevents problems before they even have room to grow. Moving on to section 2, layers, textures, and rituals, the mechanics of care. This brings us to layering. One of the most famous parts of K-beauty is obviously the multi-step routine, but the important part isn't the number of products, it's the smart sequencing. You cleanse gently, add hydration, support the barrier, treat your concerns, and then seal in that comfort. It breaks the job down into parts. Think about getting dressed for a hot, humid summer evening. You wouldn't wear one massive, heavy winter coat to do everything, right? You wear light, breathable pieces that each do a different job. Well, skin is exactly the same. It responds so much better to these smart, gentle sequences than to one single, harsh, dramatic gesture. But listen, the routine only works if you actually do it. As the saying goes, people do not stick with what they only understand. They stick with what feels usable. K-beauty adds a really vital layer to skincare, which is how the product actually feels while it works. If a cream is sticky or heavy, you'll just stop using it. It's like sitting in a beautifully designed but wildly uncomfortable chair. K-beauty emphasizes lightweight, soothing textures because comfort is what creates consistency. This means the routine is part ritual, part system. It's not just haphazardly slapping products on your face. It's an organized, deliberate sequence. It's honestly a lot like brewing a perfect cup of tea. You don't just dump dry leaves into cold water. You follow a familiar sequence, heating, steeping, timing, because the process absolutely matters. The outcome depends entirely on how those steps interact. It makes your skincare feel intentional instead of chaotic. Which leads us to a massive question. We know how it works on a daily basis now, but how did this become a massive global movement instead of just staying a local Korean beauty style? That brings us to section 3, the global growth engine. Why clarity travels. There are 5 key reasons K-beauty absolutely exploded worldwide. First, the system was just easy to grasp. Second, and honestly, this is huge, it had an optimistic, emotional tone. Traditional beauty marketing often scolds you for your flaws, but K-beauty invites you in. It feels like self-respect, not punishment, which makes it emotionally sustainable. Third, the lightweight products were highly repeatable. Fourth, the packaging was super clean and approachable, lowering that intimidation factor. And fifth, its highly visual before and after logic and beautiful textures were perfectly rewarded by social media algorithms. Think about the fundamental difference between these two logics. It's almost like the contrast between a sterile grayscale room and a warm space completely filled with inviting orange tones. Typical reactive logic cells transformation. It tries to fix visible problems really fast and uses intensity to force change. But K-Beauty logic cells care in routine. It supports the skin over time and uses consistency to guide that change. In a market completely full of urgency and anxiety, K-Beauty offered a much calmer, way more manageable system.
Ultimately, a trend only becomes a permanent framework when it serves multiple needs at once. And K-Beauty solved problems across the board. For consumers, it made skincare manageable. For brands, it created room for repeat purchases and constant innovation. For the media, the routines were super visual and easy to cover. And for culture, it projected a polished, modern image. So it wasn't just a trend anymore. It became a highly effective platform.
Now for our final section. Section 4, a new beauty language, exporting a feeling of control. The deeper insight here is that K-Beauty didn't just export serums and moisturizers, right? It exported a feeling of control. Skincare suddenly became understandable, adjustable, repeatable, non-destructive, and most importantly, emotionally manageable. People aren't just trying to improve their skin, they are trying to reduce confusion. K-Beauty gave the world a visible logic. It completely changed our expectations, proving once and for all that skincare could be thoughtful and legible instead of chaotic and harsh. So, I want to leave you with a quick question to analyze your own bathroom cabinet tonight. Think about the products you use every single day. Ask yourself, is your routine trying to aggressively solve a problem, or is it working to thoughtfully manage one? Because honestly, once you see the difference between reactive rescue and a proactive upkeep, the way you look at beauty culture will literally never be the same. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and keep looking for the systems beneath the surface.